I'm with Mordechey Saar Momorstein. Now, Mordechey, where are your parents from originally?
My parents were born and grew up in Hungary, in a small town in the north of Hungary, near Ukraine, and they are Holocaust survivors. My mother have been to Auschwitz, this destroy camp of the Germany of the Nazis. After the war, my father and my mother came back to their small town. Its name Kisvárda in Hungary, in Yiddish, Kleinverdan, and they got married. And my mother became pregnant, and they began to think that they want that I will be born in Israel. They didn't want to stay in Hungary. In Hungary, the Hungarian hated the Jews not less than Germany, than the Nazis. So one day they took themselves to Budapest, and from Budapest was organized the illegal ship to Israel. In this ship there were 4,000 refugees, about 2,500 from Romania, and about 1,500 from Hungary. So 2 trains went to Yugoslavia, trains from Bucharest and train from Budapest. And they arrived at the capital. Today is Croatia. It was Yugoslavia. The capital is Zagreb. And in Zagreb, there was build of university. It was not ready to learn, but it was ready to receive the refugees, okay? There were no windows, no doors, no floor, nothing. But 4,000 refugees have been there about 3 months. It was very cold. It was the beginning of the winter. It began in August. August was summer. But October and November, it was a winter. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. And of course, my mother was pregnant in this camp or in this university. She was in the 6 months of her pregnant, yes? You can imagine it. In this ship, between the refugees, there were 130 women pregnant. In the beginning, the commanders, there was order that the pregnant woman not allowed to come to the ship. But the commanders had a heart, and they didn't want to leave the pregnant woman in Europe to go quickly to Israel. In the time that the refugees were stay in Zagreb, in this time, in the beach, in the port, the commanders prepared the ships. To prepare ship 4,000 refugees, it is not so simple, because it is not like today, what is the name of the cruise? It was not cruise, yes? Yeah. They prepared 8 floors to the refugees. Every refugee had half meter on half meter on half meter to live. How long? Who knows? Who knows? Eventually, it was 1 month in the ship. After 3 months, they came to the port. The name of the port is Bakar, a little port in Croatia, Yugoslavia, because the commanders look for a port that the English will not watch this port, yes? The English look for the refugees and the ships all around the Europe. We have miracle that Yugoslavia at this time cooperated with this transfer of illegal immigrant to Israel. It was a miracle because the commanders were partisans with Tito in the Second World War. Okay, they came to the port for 4,000 refugees, and the sailing to Israel has begun. There were 2 ships. One of them was Knesset Israel. The second, was Abba Bardichev, on behalf of a parachute that parachuted in Yugoslavia in the Second World War. Abba Bardichev. The ship Abba Bardichev was a small ship, only 500 refugees. Most of them young people, in the Knesset Israel, there were 3,500 refugees. The people, all the people, old men and women and men, children, babies, and women pregnant. After 2 days, the sailing was in 5 of November, 46. After 2 days, on 7 of November, baby was born in the ship. The name of the baby was Mordechey Saar. It's me. The name of the woman that gave the birth was Esther Momorstein, a young woman, 20 years old. After Auschwitz, her number was A11837, okay? She came to the doctor and said, I feel I have a birth. And 8 days after this, there was my birth. The Sandak, Godfather, the Sandak was the commander of the communication with the land of Israel, with his commanders. He was less than 20 years, half past 19. But my mother admired him because he was a symbol of the new Israeli, okay? And he was my Sandak. My mother wanted the name Mordechai on behalf of her father, that of course was killed in the Holocaust. But he, the young people, his name Yoash Tzidon, he was pilot in the Israeli army, in the IDF, yes? He was pilot, a very serious pilot. And he gave me the name Saar. If you don't know, Saar is translation of Se'ara. Se'ara is storm, because birth was in a very difficult storm in the ship. So he gave me the name Saar. Saar, as I told you, is in English storm, on behalf of the storm. My birth on the ship was a very big experience to the commanders, if you understand. I am wondering, it was so important for them, and they were satisfied, okay? That they have now one refugee in the ship. 2 days after I was born, the little ship sank. Why? In the Adriatic Sea, all the time there is a storm. The storm came from the Dolomitic mountains in Italy, and they came to the sea, and opposite the sea and the ships. So all the time it was very dangerous because of storms, okay? And the two ships were so old. For example, Knesset Israel, the big ship, was born in the 19th century, in about 1890. And the small ship sank 1 year ago, and they took from the ground of the sea and made it the ship as an illegal refugees ship, okay? So the machine stopped to work of the small. And it was very, very dangerous, because on the sea of Yugoslavia, there were mines, military mines. And there was danger that the ship is blow to this area and will explode. It was also a miracle. And the ship find an island, a little island, 100 meters, and all the young people, about 500 people, refugees, land in this island. No one sank and died. No one. A big miracle, no? Okay, the ship, of course, sank, and the Yugoslav army took the refugees to a school in one town on the beach. I forgot the name of the town. It was Zadar, I think Zadar, in Croatia. It took about 5 days that the Knesset Israel, the commanders of Knesset Israel, should prepare the Knesset Israel to add 500 refugees. One more floor, and food, and water. It is no simple. Food for 1,000 refugees to 1 month, it tons and tons and tons. You understand? It is not simply. Okay, after 5 days, they began to continue to sail to Israel. I'm going to the end, okay? A pilot plane. A plane went to fly on the ship, asked, "Who are you?" And they told him that they are from Algiers and it is ship of commerce, commercial ship, but they knew that the English found them, okay? Of course, after 2 hours, there were 4 destroyers surrounding the ship.
From the English.
Of course, of English, for English destroyer, yes. The commander of one of them, the commander of all the 4 destroyers, suggested to the commander of Knesset Israel, Yossi Harel, "Why do you need travel to go to Haifa? We will arrest you and we'll take you to Cyprus. Go directly to Cyprus." Of course, he didn't agree with him and continued to sail to Israel. The commander of destroyers asked Yossi Harel, "Maybe let me speak with refugees." Yossi Harel told this to the refugees and said them, "If you want to go to Cyprus, okay. But if you refuse to go to Cyprus, cry, we are to Palestine, to Eretz Israel, to our homeland." And of course, the commander of the destroyer approached to the ship and spoke with the refugees, and they cried, "We are to our homeland in Eretz Israel," and opened to sing the Atikva, of course. 4,000 refugees stand up and sung the Tikva. The refugees did not can to forget this moment. Okay, they came in 26, they came to Haifa, surrounding them 4 destroyers, and in Haifa, in the port of Haifa, 2-3 ships of prisoners waited for them. When English officer said to a child 8 years old, "Go out from the ship directly to the ships of the prisoners," the battle have been begun. It was very difficult battle. In the beginning, they ran away, the British. But after this, they shoot. And some refugees, 2 refugees were killed and others were injured. Yes. Eventually, they succeeded to send the refugees from Knesset Israel to the ships of the prison. The court of England in Israel promised that they will discuss about this issue and maybe they will leave the refugees here in Israel. And they promised that till the judgment will be finished, they will not transfer the refugees to the prisoners. But they didn't do what they promised, and they will not take them to Cyprus. Eventually, after 2 days, the court, of course, agreed that they will go to Cyprus. They will deported to Cyprus. My father was taken to Cyprus with all the refugees, but the mothers and the babies have been taken to Atlit. We have been in Atlit about 3 months.
So Atlit is Eretz Israel.
Atlit in Eretz Israel. In the beginning of the Ha'apala, the illegal immigrant to Israel, they arrested the illegal immigrants in Atlit. But from July in 46, they stopped it and transferred the refugees to Cyprus. They believed by doing this, they will stop the immigration to Israel. Of course, they were wrong, okay? One of the 2 refugees that were killed, his name was Isaac Rosenbaum. He was a son of the rabbi of Nadvorna. The second, during 74 years, we didn't know him. There was a grave in Haifa cemetery without name. Nobody came to visit him, no family. After 74 years, I found and succeeded to know who is this immigrant. And we made a funeral, a big funeral, to give him the honor. And now he has a grave, an honor grave. This is the story. More or less, this is the story.
But you spent your first years on a ship and then you're then in Atlit.
Yes.
As a baby.
As a baby, of course.
Yeah.
I think About 33 babies were born in all the illegal immigrants to Israel, in the Ha'apala. One of them, only one of them, the breeze was in the ship.
Now, your father was in Cyprus. How did he get back to Israel?
He was in Cyprus about 8 months. He's separated from him babies as only just now he was born, and it was of course very exciting meeting after 8 months. We were in another Cape of the English, not in Atlit. After 3 months in Atlit, they took us to another camp in Kiryat Shmuel. And in Kiryat Shmuel, my father, after he was released from Cyprus, he met us.
And then, of course, it's the establishment of the State of Israel.
I established Israel country. I fought against the British. I took a part in the war against the British, and after this against the Arab in the independence. And I have certifications that I was born in the ship, and I took a part in the war against the British.
And today you've actually written a book about your story, haven't you?
Yes, I have decided to write this book to give illegal immigrants, the Ma'apilim, the refugees, the Holocaust survivors, to give them the honor. They were heroes. They were heroes. The sailing in the refugees ship about 1 month on the sea, on the storms, on the very difficult conditions in the ship. There was no food. They were sick in the sea sickness. You know what is sea sickness? Everybody was sick in the sea sickness. Everybody, all the refugees. So it was for me very important duty to give them the honor.
Today, do you have children and grandchildren here in Eretz Israel?
Of course, I have 4 children. All of them live in Eretz Israel. By the way, after the war against the British that I took a part in this war, I really was a soldier in Israel, an officer and parachute, and I fought in the 6 days war in Jerusalem, in Yom Kippur war, in Egypt, in Lebanon, the first war in Lebanon, and many, many wars.
Of course, today Israel is at war. How does that make you feel today? Your family escaped the Holocaust, and now you're in Israel, and there's a terrible, terrible massacre on the 7th of October. So how does that make you feel coming and escaping? Your family escaped from the Holocaust.
Very, very, very difficult. The killing in 7th of October, it is the first time in my life that I thought about the Shoah, the Holocaust. It's the first time that I think that it was like the Holocaust. Not in the same numbers of 6 million, but in small numbers, it was Holocaust, first time. It is very difficult for us, but I think that slowly, we win. Slowly, we will win and return to our very nice life in this very nice country and land.
Do you have children and grandchildren in the army at the moment?
In the army, yes, of course. The husband of my granddaughter is in the army in the north. The husband of one of my daughters was released now, this week, after 4 months in Gaza Strip. And I have grandchildren in the army. They were in reserved grandchildren in the army now, in all the areas.
You must be very proud of them.
I am very proud. I convinced them to be fighters. And if I would not convince them, they also were convinced, because the history of the family, of my parents and of mine as a fighter. And I fought because of the history of my parents in the Holocaust. I wanted to defend them.
And it all started from a little baby boy being born on a ship.
Ken, of course, Ken, of course. By the way, I took all my family and we visited the town of my parents. And the municipality received us in very big honor. There is there a synagogue. We keep the synagogue, very nice synagogue, maybe one of the nicer synagogues in Europe. And we keep the cemetery in this town, Kishvarda, the name of the town.
That must have been very moving.
It was very strong experience for my children and grandchildren.
Wow.
And I have also grandchildren.
Wow. Amazing. Well, Mordechey, it has been so lovely to hear your story today. Thank you so much.
1 minute, the hero, I am not hero. I only was born. The hero is my mother. She arrived at this ship when she was 6 months pregnant.
Yes.
She gave my birth in a very, very difficult conditions. Not on a bed, on a table.
Wow.
She is a hero.
She's the hero of the story.
Completely.